Tonight's webinar is about showing your value and how to stand out in your job search. We've got the fabulous DeAnnah with us this evening, and we're very excited for her to share with us some great information that I think can help all of us during a very uncertain time. And so we're very grateful to have her here tonight. She is definitely a woman exceeding in her own right. And so before I pass it off to her, I'm going to talk a little bit about Women Exceeding Inc., and then we'll move right into it. What we do. Women Exceeding is a nonprofit organization that assists women seeking personal and professional development through various initiatives that encourage, inspire, and empower. We do that through our 4 pillars. The first one being mentorship, women mentoring women, education, then networking, and lastly, business development. Please go to our website, womenexceeding.com, for more information. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We will be playing this live. This will be live on Facebook, but you can also come back to the website or to our social media for more information on future webinars. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to DeAnnah.
Awesome. Thank you, Simone. Appreciate that. So we are going to jump right in, you all. If you do have any questions, or maybe if you're having any trouble hearing me at any point, just definitely type in the chat box and one of us will see it and we'll be sure to address it, especially if you're struggling to hear me at any point during the webinar. Like Simone said, this webinar is about showing your value. So we are really going to focus on how do you advance in your career in a way that allows you to be effective and efficient. And to do that, you have to understand how to actually show your value as a professional. And that's what we're going to dig into. So if you don't have some type of pen and paper to take notes, go ahead and grab it real quick because we are about to jump right in. All right. So let's start with our agenda. So the 3 things that we're going to primarily cover during this webinar is uncovering the value of your experiences as a professional. Oftentimes, people don't really understand the value they're bringing to an organization. They know what their duty is, but they don't know the importance of that duty and how that really impacts the organization. And so we're going to go over some ways to identify that. We're going to talk about different strategies to communicate your value proposition. And we're going to talk about how applying these strategies will help you to have an effective job search, or even to just move up within your company. If you're not necessarily trying to look outside of your company, but you want to move up in the organization that you're currently in. All right. So this is how you know you are in the right place today. If you're tired of going to interviews and not feeling confident about what you bring to the company, you're in the right place. If you have not been getting interviews and you've been applying for jobs and you're like frustrated with the whole job search process as a whole, you're in the right place. If you have been to a performance appraisal and missed out on a promotional opportunity because your supervisor can see why you deserved a promotion, you're in the right place. And if you're tired of living paycheck to paycheck and, like I say, robbing Peter to pay Paul whenever you want to do something fun or go hang out, you are in the right place. Because it's time for ladies to level up and make sure we are really leveraging the value we bring to organizations and getting the compensation we deserve. So I'm going to start really quickly just to give you all a brief background about who I am and, you know, what I'm bringing to you in terms of as an expert. So these are some photos that kind of capture me on the personal and on the professional side. I am CEO of E3 Professional Services. And I am also a career strategist. And so what my company does is we focus on advancing minorities in their careers through career strategizing. And we also work with companies that are wanting to have more engaged staff members that are diverse staff members to keep them on board and increase their retention rates. So we work both with individual professionals and we work with companies that want to retain their diverse employees. I've been featured a few times. I've been on various shows. And so this is just a quick snapshot. I absolutely love and adore partnering with Women Exceeding anytime I can. There's a photo in there of us out at an event that their CEO, Christina, had invited me to, and it was an amazing experience. So if you're not already following Women Exceeding, make sure you are following them, make sure you are staying in the loop on what they have going on, because it is an amazing organization to really help support and uplift women. I'm also a mom. As y'all can see, my two little troublemakers are down there. They probably have coal in that bag for Christmas because they be working my nerves. But that's me in a nutshell. And so I wanted to give just a little background so that you guys can also understand I'm not too different from many of you that are probably on this webinar. I have been in corporate America. I have been overlooked for promotions. I have been in a job search where it did not yield fruitful results, even though I had helped other people to get jobs. So I want to make sure that you guys can see the human side of me outside of being a CEO and a career strategist. All right, so let's jump in. That's enough about me. So this meme I love, right? People, when they go into interviews, they're thinking, am I ready for this interview? Am I going to do well? When you really need to be thinking, is this interview ready for me and what I have to bring? Okay. So first things first, let's start with why understanding your value is important. First, it builds confidence. If you don't know what value you bring to an organization, you really can't confidently go into an interview, to a networking event, and convey what it is that you do in a way that will resonate with your audience or your listener. So understanding your value is super duper important because that is the foundation for your confidence. Another reason why it's important is it allows you to better plan for your career trajectory. So if you are, I'll say about 5 to 7 years into your career field and you don't know what the plan is to move from kind of mid-level management into senior level management or higher, that's a problem. And one way to solve that problem is understanding what the value is that you bring as a professional to your industry or to an organization. And then the third reason why it is super duper important is the money, okay? It helps you when negotiating, okay? Whether you are a career professional or if you're a business owner, understanding the value you bring is super duper critical for negotiating. And so us understanding this is going to help you in these 3 ways, most definitely. So let's jump right in. Again, hope you got pen and paper because I'm going to break down some of the foundational pieces that we use within my organization to help our clients advance in their careers and even in their businesses. I do work with a few entrepreneurs from time to time. So your value is the foundation of your professional brand. So in order for you to be able to uncover your value, you need to stop underselling what you do for an organization. And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean. You want to be able to break down your responsibilities for each role that you have or have had to understand the why, the result, and how much that result equates to. People sometimes have the why, sometimes have the result, but oftentimes lack the how much that result equates to. So I'm going to give you an example. If you take calls for like a dealership, a car dealership, if all you think is, oh, I take calls for the dealership and this, helps to route calls to the sales team. Okay, so the why do you answer the phones? To route them to the sales team. What is the result of it? The sales team gets to close deals. But what you're missing is how much does that result equate to? And how do you find that out? Oftentimes for someone in these types of roles, all they have to do is look at the KPIs that are posted within the building. Okay, the sales team usually have their key performance indicators posted up somewhere so you can see if the sales team exceeded their sales goals for the quarter or for the month, you help to contribute to that. So if they exceeded sales, let's say by 30%, you contributed to that, because had you not been able to transfer those calls, that probably 9 times out of 10 would have hindered them from being as effective in their sales process if somebody had to talk to this person, that person, this person before they got to the right salesperson. That delays the sales process. So having someone that effectively transfers those calls is very vital to the sales process for an organization. And so this last bullet here, it says, consider asking yourself, what would happen to the company if my role did not exist? Don't think about whether or not you're there initially. think about if this role just literally did not exist, what would happen? And that will help you to better understand, or to start to better understand, why your role is important. If the dealership does not have a customer service person to answer those calls and route those calls to a sales team, guess what? That means the sales team are answering calls and they're having to route calls, which delays them from executing their sales calls, or they may route it to the wrong person because they're so focused on meeting their KPIs. So in a nutshell, if the person that answers the phone, that customer service rep, if that role did not exist, that would significantly impact the organization. Every role that an organization pays for, they are paying money for that role for a reason. They don't pay for it just for the heck of paying for it. So it is vital in some shape, way, or form, right on to the custodial staff. It is vital for the custodial staff to be there because that affects the customer experience, and that affects whether or not a person will want to spend their money within that establishment, if it's like a building that people go to buy things, so to speak. So it is super duper important to not undersell what you do for an organization. And if you're struggling to figure that out, one key question I always ask my coaching clients is, what do you think would happen if your role just didn't exist? Forget you being in the role, just if your role did not exist as a whole. If they didn't have this role, what would change with the organization and how it's ran? And that usually is the start to them realizing, oh, okay, I can better understand why what I do is so important. And then we're able to break it down even more and make it very exclusive to what they're doing for the organization. If this is making sense, if y'all can drop some ones as I'm going to the next slide, a few of y'all, just so that I know y'all are with me and y'all are following along. Cool. All right. I'm seeing the type in. Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. All right. I think it's safe to go on to the next part. Okay. So this is like part one. All right. So now we're moving on to your value proposition and what that does. So we talked about how to uncover your value, what it is that you bring to an organization. Now what we're going to talk about is your value proposition. And your value proposition can be just like in general as an expert. So for me, my value proposition as a career strategist overall is my ability to help professionals to advance in their careers within a certain time frame, and I have certain metrics that I use to validate that, right? I know over 97% of my clients secure roles at higher salaries within X number of days, and they usually see at least a 27% salary increase from working with my company, right? So when I'm talking to people, that's my general value proposition that I'm bringing. However, for those of you that are trying to update your resume to convey this value that you've now uncovered, you want to think about it from the lens of a value proposition for each role that you've had. So you want to be able to go from basic, because a lot of resumes I see, they're basic, no shade, but they're basic, right? To a hot commodity. Well, when somebody sees that resume, they're like, dang, she did what? Or, wow, this is what she does. And there's ways to do that where your resume literally is talking in your absence for you and advocating for you on your behalf. Readers will instantly see that you were an asset, and they will find the valuable information that they need from your resume fast. Employers will easily see your value and see what you either bring to the organization or what you could bring to the organization. They'll see your potential or see what they already know that you can bring based off of your resume. Your value proposition helps to enhance your confidence in interviews. So this allows you to more clearly communicate what you do and how you are an asset. When you know what you bring and why you're an asset, your conversations look very different. And it's not about arrogance. It's about, look, I know as a 10-year veteran in HR, if you are looking for someone to help retain your diverse staff, these are the different ways that I can do it. And these are the results that I've seen in my work. And this is my vision for your organization if I come on as your blah, blah, blah professional or as your director of whatever, right? You talk very differently when you have that confidence in what you bring to the organization. And then lastly, again, it gives you that leveraging power during your salary negotiation. So having a value proposition within your resume is going to help you with all of these things, because your resume sets the tone for getting an interview, and it sets the tone for what they will potentially offer you if they offer you a job. So the salary negotiation really starts with your resume. Some resumes people can look at and see, okay, if we bring them in, we can probably stay on the lower end of our budget for this role, right? Because they can see on paper already what you're bringing to the table. So if your resume is screaming all these results that you did X, Y, and Z for a company worth over $8 billion, in revenue to date, it paints a different picture for the employer. You now are showing your value, and then they want that value. And so they know they're going to have to, if you're someone they're viewing as a hot commodity, they know they got to bring their A game. We can't just lowball this girl with our salary offer because she's a hot commodity. She's a heavy hitter in what she does. She's not coming in here as no rookie. And that's what you want. You want them to know and be thinking before you even go into the interview that they need to bring their A game, excuse me. So your value proposition is super duper critical. All right, so here is my value proposition formula that I came up with a couple years back when I started doing this work as a business owner. So it is the WTH formula, okay? And I love the acronym because people think, yes, it's the secret sauce. The WTH, people think, what the heck, or, what the hell. And so when you think about the value proposition, you want it to be curated in a way that makes a person think like, dang, like what the heck? Like, this is what this person does. And so that's why I love the acronym, and each letter is a very vital part of the formula. So the W is who is affected, right? So we're going back to that example that I gave earlier with sales. Who is the person that's affected? The sales team is affected, and senior level management is affected. What is the problem, right? Why does the company need someone to do the work that you do? What is the problem that you're solving? Too many inbound calls for the sales team to handle in order to close the sales. Okay. The H, how much, or how often, or for how long, or maybe all three, depending on what the task is or the duty is that you have. Okay. So you streamline and route over 70 inbound leads, let's say on average per month, to contribute to over $300,000 in sales per month. Okay. So you went from, oh, I answer phone calls, inbound phone calls, to I streamline and route over 70 inbound leads that contribute to over $300,000 in sales per month for our sales team and senior level management. Okay, it changes how your role is even perceived. I don't perceive this as somebody that just answers phones. I perceive this as somebody that's the secret sauce to a sales team. So if I'm somebody that needs sales and needs sales to be executed, and I'm struggling to execute sales, or I want my sales to increase, and I'm trying to find someone to handle calls, I'm going to call this person before I call somebody whose resume just says answer inbound calls for leads or customer inquiries. It looks very different because this person just told me they helped to contribute to over $300,000 in sales per month, just answering the phones and routing the calls. So that looks very different from you just answer calls. And that is how you get your results-driven value proposition statement. Okay. So your value proposition or your VP is going to be results driven, and it can be built into every bullet potentially, but in general, we aim for it to be built into most of your bullets for each job that you've had. Okay, there are some responsibilities where it may not just make sense to quantify it, especially when you're trying to make sure you have certain page limit and things like that. So you do want to make sure you're highlighting those things that are really impactful. But overall, every job you've had, is capable of having multiple value proposition statements built within it, not just responsibilities. Okay, so drop some ones if that makes sense, y'all, because I'm giving y'all our secret sauce. Had to copyright that because I didn't need any other career like development professionals trying to steal it, so I had to protect that one. But I wanted to share that with you guys because I want you to understand the methodology behind it. There is a method to the madness. It's not just, oh, let me rewrite your resume. No. How do I rebrand you as a professional so that you understand what your value is and you're able to convey that and people are able to see that? Because your success is my success. That's at least in my business. I can't be successful if my clients aren't successful. It don't work that way. All right, so now let me show y'all some examples from some previous clients. I hope y'all can see that. Drop another one real quick. I know I'm making y'all work today. Drop a one if y'all can see that, or yes. Okay, perfect. Good. So here is an example from one of my clients. So this client went from project management and wanted to go into the space of like diversity and inclusion, people development, and things like that. And so we had to completely rebrand her entirely. And these are some of the examples of her value proposition statement. So this is her work experience right here. And then above this is a special section I created because she had some pockets of experience like helping out on committees and things like that. So I compiled that and created an entire section to highlight that at the forefront of her resume because she did not have traditional people and culture or D&I titles. And so I wanted to make sure I brought to the forefront with her resume how she's able to make a contribution in that arena, right? Because she's competing against people that have D&I roles and things like that. And so this is one strategy to help do that. And so here, hopefully you can see my cursor. Here's an example. So if you look right above people and culture, professional experience, you have bullet 1, 2, the third bullet right at the top. It says spearheaded. Just jump to that middle one that starts with developed. So this is a good value proposition statement. Developed a series of 3 webinars focused on demystifying the promotion process and identifying the skills necessary to be promoted. Webinars averaged 43-person attendance with 75% engagement level. So if a company is trying to improve their diversity, or excuse me, their inclusion within their organization, which means their diverse staff is more engaged and they're more satisfied within the work that they're doing, they need those people to be active in whatever it is that's going on. So if she's able to show, hey, I host these webinars and the people in attendance are engaged at a 75% level, 9 out of 10, that's way higher than what they already have going on. And so this section is titled, I know you can't see it, but it is titled People and Culture Experience. So they understand and know when they look at her resume in this section that this is a result directly connected to improving the people and culture space within an organization. And then if you look here at some of her additional professional experience, we kind of highlight and underline some of those key points to help draw the attention of the resume reviewer, whether it's the HR manager, recruiter, whoever the hiring professional is. We want their eyes to draw to those numbers and to those specific numbers that's going to help to show the value. This is going to help your resume to speak in your absence. All right, there we go. I thought I accidentally clicked the next slide. So hopefully you guys can see that. So I'm going to go to another example real quick. So this is a different example. And this person here at the top, it cut out a little bit, but you can see this is his career summary. And I'm going to show you guys career summary here in 1 second, because career summary is literally like the holy grail of our career development documents. I have seen lots of career development documents from career coaches and resume writers, and no one does it like me. And I'm not even being biased. I'm just keeping it 100. Nobody does it like me. So this is one of my clients' career summary. And the way I make sure my team sets up career summaries is a person should be able to read your career summary and not need to look at the rest of your resume. That is how imperative and how impactful the career summary should be and is. When I look at a person's resume, if I'm hiring, if I can capture the impact or the essence of who they are, the value that they bring, I don't even need to look at the rest of their resume. And it makes it easier for me as a person that has to review 120 resumes or 70 resumes, however many resumes I got to review in applications. It makes it that much easier because I can see right off the bat without looking at any other spot on their resume the key things that are critical to them being able to execute the role that they've applied for. And I can see the impact of their work. Right off the bat, when I look at this person's resume, this is a client from a few months ago. First thing that sticks out is 100% satisfaction. Global partner, so he works internationally. He leads cross-functional teams. He saves on average 10% of whatever the budget is. He averages a 70 to 80% effectiveness for whatever it is he does when I go and read that particular bullet. But just at first glance, all I see is results. All I see is impact. And so I can literally read this and say, oh, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and put him in the pile to call for an interview. And when we get to the interview right before, we'll go ahead and take a scan at the rest of the stuff on his resume to see what questions we may have for him. A lot of times when y'all interview, I'm gonna tell you right now, they scan your resume. Not a lot of times, they always scan the resume after the ATS has scanned it if you apply through an applicant tracking system. And then what happens, a human being will pull resumes based on your rank in the applicant tracking system. So based on different keywords you have, different keywords, results, education, what else? Oh, and just kind of like the format of your resume actually also affects how you rank in the applicant tracking system. So you can rank 10 out of 10, or you can rank, 7 out of 10. A lot of times I went on the back end of ATSs and it's like 100 people that's ranking 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, right? So you could be in that 100, but what's going to make you stand out from those other 99 people that's also 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 just based on the physical words, keywords that's on their resume and education, right? This is what makes you stand out, these results, these metrics. When they see the preview of your resume, it's going to look very different from the other ones that they see. So you really want to make sure you're very strategic about your resume. Do not take it for granted, because that is your first line of advocacy in your job search process. And that's the first thing that demonstrates your value as a professional. Okay, that's your first impression. You know what they say, first impressions are lasting. You can only get one. So that's your first impression. So this is his resume. And as you can see, there's certain things highlighted. Exceeded 10 million in something, 30 preferred suppliers, 100 annual contract renewals. These are just not small, but these are just things that were pertinent to the new role he was applying for. And he's been getting interviews all through like COVID. He's now trying to figure out like what offer he's going to take at this point. He doesn't know what to do now. I'm like, it's a good problem to have, right? All right. Uh-oh, did it freeze on me? Oh, there we go. Hold on, let me make sure I didn't skip because I clipped it. Okay, no, I didn't skip. Okay, so next is your career summary. So I talked about this in one of the previous slides for the examples. Your career summary is super duper important. Remember, it's at the top of your page. It's not an objective. Take out an objective. If you have an objective, take it out. That's so outdated. Please remove it from your resume. Some people have professional summaries where, it's about 3 to 4 sentences that are impactful, which is fine. That is a suitable summary to have at the top of your resume. I usually encourage that format for my early professionals because they may not have the depth of experience to be able to pull out a few bullets. But for my people that have at least 7 years of work experience, you can pull out about 3 or 4 bullets. You should be able to pull out 3 or 4 bullets that comprehensively tells who you are as a professional. So that is the key thing with our career summaries. It is capturing who you are comprehensively as a professional, not just in one role. Now, you may have had, let's say, 7 or 8 years 7 or 8 years of experience in a particular role, and that is fine. You can then, of course, capture that, but you're thinking about what is that experience that is being asked on the job description that I've done over X number of years. Okay, so for example, the first bullet, 4+ years of experience generating upwards of 100+% increase in profit margins, exceeding sales quotas by upwards of 110% monthly, and increasing new money by upwards of 200% for companies worth $100 billion. Okay. So this person may have only did this for 4 years, roughly 4 years, and that may not even be their most recent role. But if they're going for a role that is directly related to sales, this is something that needs to be in the career summary. Okay. So their most recent role may not be sales related, but they're going to put this in their career summary because guess what? The person is going to read the career summary first. And so you want that person to know you have this many years of experience doing X, Y, and Z. They don't have to go down to the bottom of page 1 or the top of page 2 to know that you have this particular experience. And so that's why it's important that your career summary is comprehensive, but directly aligned with your new role. Another example of a bullet from a career summary that we've done, 13+ years of continuously improving processes for companies worth over $8 billion by employing market research, market segmentation strategies, analytical skills, and analytical skills according to company-driven objectives to ensure high-quality output that results in 100% satisfaction. Yes, that is a mouthful, but guess what? What stands out? You improve processes for companies worth over $8 billion. So if the company you're applying for is only worth 100 million, you've improved processes for companies worth over 8 billion. And you know what? You got 100% satisfaction rating. If they don't read nothing else, they see you improve processes for companies worth over $8 billion. And the result of your work equates to 100% satisfaction. That is very, very vital information. So I don't know what companies many of y'all may work for, but here's a quick little secret nugget. Google and see how much your company is worth that you work for. Okay. They may be worth $700 million, $30 billion. Guess what? Use that to your advantage. You do X, Y, and Z for a company worth this much money. Use the company's value to your advantage because you are bringing value to the company. So put that on there. I don't remember what company this was, but it was like, that looks way better than saying Susie Q organization or whatever. You don't need to say all that. I improve processes for companies worth over this much money in revenue. Okay. And I always go with the max. So if you've worked for, let's say 4 companies, one company was worth 700 million, another company 1 billion, and the other company 4 billion. Work with companies worth in excess of $4 billion or, up to $4 billion. This particular company must have been like 8 billion, something else, some other dollar amount added on to the 8 billion, 700 million or something like that for us to be able to say over 8 billion. But this is an example of a high quality career summary. And I'm going to tell you right now, this person for the 13+ years, y'all, they do marketing. They do marketing. But it looks so impactful, which it is, because of how it is packaged. How it is packaged. None of this is a lie. They said, yeah, I always get 100% satisfaction rate for the quality of the work we do. Okay, so then why is that not on your resume? You do market research. You provide market segmentation strategies. You use your analytical skills. You help to drive the company's objectives to meet their objectives. You do all of that, which helps improve their processes. How much is the company worth? 8 billion. None of this is a lie. It's all true. It's just packaged in a way that speaks to the value of the person that's doing it. And that is the key difference and the key indicator that's going to make you stand out from somebody else. And imagine having this at the top of your resume in your career summary. And then if they want to keep looking, all they're going to see is just more and more value-driven statements that speak to what you bring to an organization. So let's go ahead and move on because we're almost finished and we're going to get to some Q&A. So I want to let you guys know real quick about a client that's near and dear to my heart. I don't know if she's on here, but I want you guys to meet Amber. She is a single mom. She has about 7 years of work experience in the medical administration space. She knew she was good at her job and she was ready for something else. And she just was like, I don't know though if I'm like ready for like that next step, right? So she wanted to do some coaching. We talked about what value she brings to the organization, like kind of one-on-one. I was able to coach her and work with her. So when she realized what her value was, she then shifted the type of role she was going to apply for. Amber, I'll just let y'all see because she secured the bag, okay? So Amber, by applying these methods, now granted, she was just like, I want y'all to do it, I'm gonna pay y'all to do it. But by using these methods in her job search that we did for her and provided for her, she literally was able to get an interview, well, multiple interviews, and got hired within 2 weeks. Now, this is, she's in a specific field, so let's keep that in mind. Everybody don't get hired in 2 weeks, but everybody does see an immediate shift in the response rate. So she ended up increasing her salary by about, I want to say about $25,000 salary increase. Plus we negotiated for her to get a bonus. I forgot the percentage, but after her first quarterly evaluation, we added that into the negotiations for her to get a performance bonus as well. And she absolutely loves her job. Like they take her places, send her places. She absolutely loves it. And so this is just, I wanted y'all to see someone's real story so that you can see this is somebody who she had 7 years of experience. Okay, so if you have 7 years of experience or around that 7 to 10 years of experience, granted, each field is different, but you should be making a very decent amount of money where you can live comfortably. She was making about in the 50s, not low, she's like high 50s. She was doing okay. Like she was doing okay, but now she's doing much better. And now she's like, okay, I'm ready for more. Right. And so this is what happens when you realize the value of what you bring to your industry or what you bring to a company. But if you don't understand it, you're never going to be able to advocate for A, what it is you need in terms of compensation, and then B, just the roles that you want. Some people, compensation isn't everything. They just want certain levels of responsibility because they have a plan for their career and they know they need to be in a certain role to get there. You can't get there if you don't understand what value you bring to an organization or to your industry as a whole. All right, so I see the chat is booming, so I'm gonna go ahead and hurry up so I can get to the Q&A part. All right, so here is, as we are wrapping up, so I've kind of went over the value proposition, gave you guys the formula to use it, told you why it was important, gave you some examples, let you see Amber. So now, because I've given you all of that, I felt like it's important for me to also give you at least some steps that you can take once you've applied this strategy, these different strategies and concepts, right? It's like, okay, I've done all this. Okay, now what do I do with my job search? I got you. I'm not going to leave you with a half-ass webinar, right? So first step, use more than just third-party job boards with your job search. So once your resume is together, your resume is just the first step. You still have to execute an effective job search strategy. So just applying to jobs on Indeed, Career Builder, or whatever third-party site you use, excuse me, y'all, sorry, that is not effective, okay? You are missing out on over 70% of the jobs that are out there. So it's super duper important to either apply directly to companies, to network, which is on the list as well. Definitely use LinkedIn, even though LinkedIn is a third-party job board. One unique value about LinkedIn is you can see the person who posted the job for many of their jobs. So if you go and you're looking for a project manager role and you come across a role you like, there's a good chance you can see who posted that job. And if you can see who posted that job, you know what that means. You have direct access to somebody responsible for that role. So you can reach out to that person. You can see who that person is connected to and maybe reach out to someone that's connected to them if you're not comfortable reaching out to them directly. It gives you better access and better leverage within your job search when you know who posted the roles. You could ask questions. And when you ask questions, here's the other beauty about it. I'm dropping some nuggets for y'all. I hope y'all writing this down. Okay, this is top secret info. So if you reach out to the person, let's say just to ask a question, right? You see the job and you're like, "Ooh, I love this job. I want to apply, but I don't want to be like, oh, okay, can you let me know, the status of my application, whatever." You could just ask a question about the role, right? Reach out and ask a question. Here's the beauty of LinkedIn. They will see your message. They have the option to click on your profile and they'll be able to see a snapshot of who you are before, even if they haven't looked at your resume. So you're able to sell yourself on LinkedIn just by knowing who posted the job and asking them a question about the posting. And then they may answer the question. And now in their mind, they're like, I like Simone's profile. She's impressive. Let me go look and see if she applied to the role. And then here's another nugget about LinkedIn. My last LinkedIn nugget for you before I move to the next one. If you hit the apply button, even if you don't apply, your profile is shared with the job poster. Even if you can't see who the job poster is, because not every role you can see it, but a lot of the roles you can. So if you click the apply button and you actually don't move forward with applying, let's say you hit the apply button and you see it took you to the company's website and you're like, oh, I don't feel like filling out this long application. Your LinkedIn profile is still shared with the person that posted the job. So on LinkedIn, there's so many different ways to be seen by hiring professionals that this is vital in your job search. So it's not just your resume. Your resume is the first part, but there's so many other parts to like expedite your search. So people like Amber, like they got the whole shebang. It was like, yeah, like I need my LinkedIn done. Amber, I didn't even get a chance to finish her LinkedIn. She moved so fast. She used other strategies before we could even use like updating her LinkedIn profile. And so she was able to kind of catapult, but she's also in the medical industry too. So you have to keep in mind some industries just move a little slower and a little faster than others. But getting those interviews, that process, it does not take too long. Now, once you start the interview process, that can take a while because HR, they move slow sometimes. So that's my little nugget on that first step in your job search strategy. Don't just apply to third-party job boards, and make sure of those third-party job boards you're applying to that LinkedIn is one of your top ones, because LinkedIn will work on your behalf for you when you use it correctly. Next, follow up on your applications. Amber and many clients that we have, this is one of the primary things we tell them to do. Don't just apply and wait, because again, like I said, on the back end, there could be 100 people who ranks 10 out of 10 and 9 out of 10 on that applicant tracking system. So if somebody is just like, man, this is 100 resumes, all right, I'm just any, mini, miny, mo, and pull out, the first few that rank the highest, because of when you applied, you may not rank in those top few just off of the strength of you applied. Let's say you were number 50 that applied. You still ranked high, but you were number 50. So they just didn't even get to yours because there's so many that were highly qualified. Following up on your application helps to put you on their radar. So it's so important to follow up on any application or resume you send. It's not annoying them. I know that's a huge perception. There is a way to annoy an HR manager, yes, but simply following up and within like 3 to 5, well, not 5, no, within about 3 business days, that's fine. And if there is a date indicated when the application closes, wait till the application closes, give it about 3 business days, and then follow up. Okay. So those are just some key things, but don't just not follow up because you're like, oh, I don't want to bother the HR person. I know they get annoyed and they talk about people that, no, okay, go ahead and not follow up if you want to. And that person that followed up, who resume never got pulled, now their resume didn't got pulled and they're impressed with that person. And so now they want to bring them in for an interview and your resume is still sitting at number 37, even though it was highly qualified, but they didn't know to go to number 37 because they stopped at number 20. So just saying. Next, you can do direct outreach to companies and recruiters. With direct outreach to companies, this is a very strategic method this is a very strategic method to utilize when job searching, because your direct outreach to companies is based solely on the fact that, hey, I'm interested in this company and I want to work for them. So your outreach looks different because they likely don't have a job posted. So you're putting yourself on their radar. And just because they don't have a job posted doesn't mean that there isn't a role that needs to be filled, because it does cost to fill roles, right? It costs to advertise. These are things that people don't understand. There's roles for companies that need to be filled that don't get posted because they don't want to pay for it, and it takes time to post, and they got to have people allocate time to interview these people and go through these things. It is a process. So if you reach out to a company and they know that Simone is getting, I'm sorry, Simone, I'm using you as an example for everything. They know that Simone is getting ready to leave and they know her role is going to be vacant, and DeAnnah reached out to them to express her interest in working for the company, identified the value she could bring to the company, and DeAnnah has also, identified how she can help the company because she researched what their strategic goals were or what issues they were having. DeAnnah was able to kind of put herself out there. So now they're like, hey, let's get on a call for an interview. Let's talk more about what you're interested in doing. You don't know what'll happen. People get job opportunities simply from putting themselves out there. And so it's a way to do it strategically, and you don't always get a yes. Sometimes it's, we don't have anything open right now, but thanks for reaching out. We'll keep you in mind. Boom. You never know who they know that's looking for a job. HR people talk like, man, I need a marketing specialist. Somebody is retiring, or we're trying to grow our marketing team and now I got to find a marketing strategist. Oh, Christina reached out to me. This girl, Christina, she reached out to me and expressed interest in doing some marketing for us. She has a very impressive background. You want me to send you her info? People talk. People love recommendations. I hire for my company off of recommendations because I don't feel like posting jobs, going through resumes. I will ask my network, who do you know that does X, Y, and Z before I post a job? And I have about 8 or 9 people on my team right now. So don't neglect and don't take for granted the power of just putting yourself out there. Super duper important. And then of course, again, reaching out to recruiters as well. And then last but most certainly not least, network. And LinkedIn is an amazing place to network. When you network with people, you're able to learn about their goals and share your goals. It's a very easy place to position yourself in front of leaders so that they understand the value you bring without formally saying, help me find a job. Like, help me, I'm looking for a job. You don't have to do that. You network, hop on a call maybe for like 15 minutes. That's very common and popular on LinkedIn. And literally, they'll tell you, oh, this is what I do. This is what I have going on, blah, blah, blah. And you can then share, oh, okay, this is what I've been doing. I've helped my company to do blah, 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 X, Y, and Z. Thinking about, making a transition soon. So if, you know of anyone, it would be helpful if, you share my info if you don't mind, or just let me know of anyone, that's hiring or looking for work, because I will be planning a transition soon. You don't know who that person knows to be like, oh, actually, I do have someone I can connect you with. I have gotten business contracts. I have been featured on shows. I have been featured in articles solely off of conversations I've had with people on LinkedIn. Simply just learning what they do, because they had a, interesting background. It seemed pretty aligned with mine. And I was able to share, this is what I do. This is the impact that I make. This is what I got going on. And they were able to connect me, and I have done the same for others. So networking is critical because it's an easy way. Well, I won't say easy, but it's a free way to really position yourself in front of senior leaders. So I hope that all makes sense. I don't think, yeah. So that pretty much concludes the bulk of the presentation. And so now we can switch to our Q&A section. Simone, do I take the lead on it, or?
I'm back to help you with your Q&A.
Yes.
Hey, ladies.
Yay.
Hi, ladies. It's Christina. Before we hop into Q&A, I think it might be a good time to do our survey.
Oh, okay. Very good. Very good. Thank you, Christina.
I will bring it up, and Simone, you can talk about the survey.
Perfect.
Oh, perfect. There it goes.
So we just asked that all of our attendees please take this survey. This helps us understand who our audience is and gives us a better idea of who we're talking to. Is it diverse? And how we can make sure that we're really catering to our audience and making sure that our audience is broad and diverse. We really want women from all across the spectrum. So the more answers we get on this survey, the better. So please, please, please do not hesitate to take the survey for us, for those of you in the Get Response. If you are watching live on Facebook stream, that's okay. We just ask that you like the Women Exceeding page, check out our website, check us out on social media, whether it's Instagram or Twitter, and stick with us. More webinars will come, and you can take the survey for us then. And so we appreciate you all here in the Get Response and also on Facebook. So thank you, thank you. And with that said, we will pass it back to DeAnnah for our Q&A.
Awesome. Is it going to switch back to the PowerPoint?
I think so. Let's do that. There we go.
Okay. All right. So can you see all of the questions, Simone, to kind of
I've
help?
got them all written down for you.
My girl. All right. So let's start from the top.
First question is about the career summary, and I'll preface this with I had never heard of a career summary before, so thank you. I'm deleting my objective. The question is from Margot, and the question is it best to not reference specific companies or titles in your career summary?
Oh, good question. So it is definitely best to not reference a specific company, and it's because this is your career summary is your comprehensive expertise, right? So I have a background in HR, learning and development, and in the education sector. So depending on what I would be applying for, that career summary will have the different impacts that I bring to that specific industry. If it's education, it's going to focus on my work in the education space, and it's not going to pinpoint a specific role. It's just going to pinpoint comprehensively this many years of experience developing curriculums around blah, blah, blah to help teenagers or to help young adults to do X, Y, and Z, or to increase participation in career development activities by at least 30% on average, like something like that. So it's not going to pinpoint a specific company, but more so overall what it is that I bring to that space that is directly connected to the new job that I'm looking for.
Awesome. Thank you. And Margot left a comment there as well. So that is awesome.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Now, keep in mind, I'm glad she mentioned this. Just a quick nugget for all of you. Your resume does need to be tailored to specific types of jobs at a time. So while for HR or for HR, for example, if I'm going for an HR manager role, anything that's comparable, because titles, people play with titles, right? But overall, I'm going to have an HR management resume. So if I want to be an HR manager or something that's equal to that in terms of the responsibility, that's what that resume is for. If I'm going to apply to do talent acquisition, even though that falls under the HR umbrella, those responsibilities look different. So I'm going to have a talent acquisition resume, because what they're looking for, even though it's under the same umbrella, the language and the responsibilities look different. And so still make sure your resume is aligned to the type of job you're going to be applying for. It doesn't necessarily have to be job titles, because titles are interchangeable, but it definitely, the types of responsibilities have to be aligned and synonymous, or
Okay,
it's a
great. I'm gonna bounce around through the questions because you kind of touched on one of them. And the question is, what is your opinion about having different versions of your resume?
Please have multiple versions of your resume. The more tailored it is, the more they're able to see what it is you bring to the table. You don't want information that isn't relevant. Like, I wouldn't have my education or some of my education background included in my HR manager resume, because a lot of the stuff that I did, it doesn't relate to that. Now, if there's something that I did in education, like if I led professional development sessions, okay, that connects to what I want to do. So that will be in my career summary, but that specific job title, that role, that's not going to be on my HR resume, because that's space that I can use for my HR experience. So you definitely want to have multiple versions of your resume. And the beauty about the career summary is, just like I just mentioned with my own resume, if I ever wanted to enter to the job market, I can pull whatever experience I've had and put it in that career summary. It doesn't have to be listed in the work experience, because your resume is like your brag sheet. It's not a full comprehensive list of your entire work experience. So the only work experience that needs to be on your resume is the work experience that's most relevant to the role. Now, because you get 2 pages, if you want to add in, whatever role that's kind of aligned, but not so much. Some people, they just feel attached to jobs. That's fine. But I cut out the fluff. I cut out the fluff and get straight to the point. I do, because I know what it's like to read all those resumes and be like, everything starts to get blurred. And so having those numbers and those results and just information that's directly related to the type of work I'm trying to do, it helps the reader. And I've been a reader, so I get that.
Thank you. And Iman, I see your question that just came in. We've got a couple more, and then I will get to yours. The next question is, what is the best way to articulate your summary if you specialize in intellectual property? So this is a little personal plug for someone here. I believe Shelby, she's an intellectual property. What would be the best way for her to articulate her summary?
So intellectual property, and I know she'll have to type this in. She's in the space of doing, like, what exactly with intellectual property? Helping others to protect their intellectual property?
It looks like she's typing.
Yeah, I want to make sure I understand exactly what she does.
Typing. If you're on Facebook, feel free to add questions to the chat on Facebook, and we will get them to DeAnnah.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. That's a great point, Christina. If you're watching on Facebook Live, like Christina said, please feel free to type in your questions there, and I will make sure that she gets those questions and we get them answered for you.
So I'm going to, okay, there we go. Politics, more so. People were hiring because. Okay. So she's in the space of politics. So I'm assuming she might work as an independent contractor, or she may be a direct hire, but she works with elected officials. So what you would be focused on, can you ask her question one more time before I give her this answer to make sure I'm answering it?
Yes, the question is, what's the best way to articulate your summary if you specialize in intellectual property?
So her summary would definitely highlight, so it obviously highlight what she does, like exactly what you're doing for these different elected officials. However, think about, with that specific elected official, like, what is it that they're doing? Like, what impact are they making? So for example, I'm gonna use Mayor Turner, for example. I don't know if she works for Mayor Turner. And if you do, I like Mayor Turner, for the record. But if she works for Mayor Turner, hypothetically, and she uses some sort of intellectual information to execute a task, but she can't share what that intellectual information is because of the scope of her work. I'm going to assume that that's kind of the realm that we're in. So she would highlight how she is able to help this elected official or their office to do X, Y, and Z while maintaining confidentiality with protected intellectual property or protected intellectual information, whatever it is that's protected, right? And then think about, so with Mayor Turner, let's say if he generates let's say if one of his initiatives that she helped with, or that he has done while she was on his payroll, was reduced homelessness by 17%. I don't know, right? Something like random like that. Those metrics, while that's connected to Mayor Turner, she is a part of the team that helps him to do that. So everywhere throughout your career summary, you are going to highlight that while you can't share maybe some certain specifics, you can protect that, or you can package that basically by saying you maintain confidentiality for this intellectual property for elected officials that have done blah, blah, blah. Now with that one, because you're working in politics, you can mention Mayor Turner's name. Like if you work for Mayor Turner, you can mention his name, because I have someone that I recently worked with, and I told her, go ahead and mention their name and their campaign, because if somebody is familiar with them, then they'll have that background. The only downside to that, and I want to make sure I give you both sides to it, is if a person reads the resume and they're like, oh my God, I hate Mayor Turner, that might hurt you a little bit. So use your own discretion with that, but ultimately attach yourself to what you're helping them to do. Same concept as a company. It's just, instead of a company, it's an elected official.
Wow. And if that's not a testament to your skill and talent by just answering that and just walking right through it so quickly, I mean, that was really impressive. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
Next question. Lots of new styles and designs for resumes are rolling out. Do you have thoughts on a designed resume versus a traditional style?
So it broke up a little bit, but I think you asked about the style of a resume, correct?
Right. So some resumes we're seeing more like color blocks and a lot more creative designs versus kind of the traditional black and white Times New Roman. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, that's actually extremely important. You definitely want to avoid text boxes, aside from maybe your skills section that's on your resume, because what happens is it jumbles up your resume in the applicant tracking system when you put text boxes. So people try to be too fancy sometimes, and they have text boxes in places that messes up their resume in terms of how it integrates in the applicant tracking system.
Wow.
You want to avoid colors. And if you do, let's say, maybe have a block where your name is, where it's like a background color, neutral colors, tan, gray, those type of color schemes that gives your resume a little pop, but it's not overbearing, is not something that would turn off an HR manager. And you definitely want to use the Calibri type fonts. That's a very easy read and highly recommended. And fonts no smaller than 11-point font.
Oh, wow. Those were some hot tips right there.
Is she still there?
What about
if y'all can hear me, type 1, because I can't see.
I can hear you.
I can't see Simone. Oh, okay. So it's just that I can't see Simone. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, she's back. You're back.
I'm still here. What about tables on a resume? Does that have the same trigger as a text box?
Ooh, Simone, it's hard to hear you. That somebody said, so with the text box, what about tables? Yeah, no. Nope. It's going to mess up the parsing on the ATS. Now, if you have a separate resume, which we do give our clients a resume for the ATS, which for the ATS, you really need a TXT file. So there's a secret nugget too that a lot of people don't tell you. when you're applying in an applicant tracking system and they want your resume on the front end, it's good to use a TXT file because it's just basic text and it's going to parse very neatly. And then if at the end they want you to also, attach your resume, that's when you can use your nice resume that has your gray color block at the top with your name in white, and then you have your text at the bottom and all that. Then that's fine. But tables and all that, if you only have one resume that you're using to apply in these ATSs, the text boxes with the tables that's a no. Only time we use text boxes is for the skills section because.
Uh-oh, I think we just lost DeAnnah.
Let's try to get her again. You go ahead and move on about the last page for women exceeding.
Sure. While Christina tries to bring DeAnnah back on, she's got a ton of great information she's still sharing with us. We'll go to this last page here. And so if you have any questions for us, please email us at info@womenexceeding.com. Please also check us out on the website, www.womenexceeding.com. We're also on Instagram at Women Exceeding, Twitter, and then also on Facebook at the Women Exceeding page. And so please, please, please reach out, ask us questions, engage. We would love to hear from you. And I think DeAnnah's back. Let's see. She is in, but she is not a host. I'm going to try to change that. Are you there, DeAnnah? Oh. We just need your audio. And thank you for pointing that out, Iman, that she's in the chat, I think.
Yeah.
Yep, we can hear you and I can see you. Great. Yay.
Come on now. Rubbing our hating right now. What's going on?
It was getting too hot. It was getting too
hot. Yes.
A ton of great information. I've got a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
One of them was, we're talking about resumes. Do you think cover letters are important?
Yes. Cover letters, it doesn't hurt to have. And so the beauty about a cover letter is you get to kind of connect dots for your reader. You still don't want it to be too long, but you are able to kind of tell a little bit more of a story about your experience in a cover letter. So it's definitely a must. And many jobs that you're applying for, they give you the option to use it. And so even if they don't read it, it's like, what does it hurt? Because you don't know if they're going to read it. So highly encourage that.
Okay, thank you. Another question, how do you represent work gaps due to raising a family?
Oh, yes. So you can the beauty about your resume is that it's not your entire work experience So you can literally title the work experience very specific to what you're applying for. So for example, if I'm applying for HR manager roles, I'm going to say HR manager work experience, right? And so I'm just going to list that experience, which means the dates may not all line up, right? I may have 2019 to 2018 to 2019, and then it may go from 2017, which means there's a gap in 2018. That's completely fine, right? Because in my career summary, again, that is highlighting the impact of what I made. Now, if you do have work experience and it is a gap and you do want to fill in that space, because some people they don't know about how to do a career summary. So they're like, well, I want to make sure they understand and know why I've been off work. Most of the times, people aren't paying attention to it if it's more than like 5 years ago. I'm going to be 100% transparent because they're not looking that closely at the resume. But if your recent work experience cuts off, let's say maybe at 2019, and it's because you had a gap, because maybe you had to stay home to raise your family, etc., you can put in an entry on your resume that identifies you as a project manager, right? An independent project manager, and you list out what you did at home, right? So you manage schedules, whatever it is you're doing to like raising a family is a full-time job. So think about some of those things you do that you're like you can do for a company. Yeah, that can be your entry, right? And you can put in parentheses maybe something along the lines of primary caregiver or something like that in parentheses, so that you were providing care to someone or people, so to speak.
Okay, wow, thank you. That's great information. I've got one more question for you.
Okay.
Christina had heard, she said, don't apply before reaching out. What do you think about that? Should you be making connections before you apply for a job? Or can you apply without having already maybe contacted somebody who works there or somebody who's posting the job?
Yeah, you can apply before you reached out. I mean, you can do it either way. As long as you reach out is really what's important. I haven't seen any data or have not gathered any data that shows one works better than the other, because as long as you make that outreach, they're going to either go get your resume or they may just ask for your resume when you make that outreach if you've already applied. So you may be resubmitting, but who cares? I mean, if you care, then that's fine. But yeah, it doesn't matter either way, as long as you make the outreach. That's the important piece. When you make it, it can be before you apply or after, it doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you. And if you don't have a cover letter, should you go ahead and apply without one?
If your resume looks like the resumes I showed y'all, then go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Don't, but I highly encourage you to have a cover letter, and the cover letter needs to be tailored to the job. And there's a way you can have a template where you just tweak a few sentences to make it unique to that job when you are structuring your cover letter. So when we write our cover letters, we let them know, you can change, these highlighted areas per job based on, X, Y, and Z.
Okay, fantastic. I want you to plug yourself here. Let us know, how do we reach out to you? We need help. We need your expertise. We just got a ton of it for free.
I know.
Please let us know how we can reach out to you after this to take our careers to the next level.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we are actually in the process of a complete revamp that will be done probably by Monday, but you can reach us no matter what, because these links will still be active even after the relaunch of the new site. support@Stinson-Reese.com, or you can go ahead and schedule with Adrienne, my client experience manager. She is amazing. And that's pretty much calendly.com/Stinson-Reese/15, because it's a 15-minute consult. She listens to figure out, what exactly you need, gives you recommendations, let you know the benefits of the different services. You may think, oh, I want to do this full career coaching package, where she's like, well, you really only need, a strategy session. If you want to do the coaching, that's great, but you might be good with just X, Y, and Z. She's really good at, being advantageous and advocating for clients, because my business thrives off of the impact of my clients. So I can't have clients that feel like, oh, I wasted my money, or, this was not beneficial, or I really didn't need this. So it's really, really important for us to make sure we are doing the best we can to actually meet your needs. And Adrienne, she's been with me since day one. So, she's the best person to really talk to and get you connected to the right service. And she's good at, looking and saying, oh, DeAnnah still has this promo. Let me see if I can apply it. And boom, you might, get a little discount or something. So definitely schedule with Adrienne, and she'll get you going. Or you can just send an email to support@Stinson-Reese.com, and we can send you the link and answer questions for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This was absolutely fantastic. Of course, if you would like to watch it again, I feel like I couldn't even write my notes fast enough. We will make sure to share it so that you can play it again, so that you can go back and look at it when you're working at your resume, watch it before you get ready to do a job search. And so thank you again so much for sharing all your expertise with us. Women Exceeding really appreciates you. And again, attendees, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us at info@womenexceeding.com. Thank you all, and we appreciate you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Bye. Thank you all.